thing that I'm constantly thinking about in the cannabis space these days is how, even with all of the resources we have, all of the information we have out there, and how easy it is to access it, people are still so misinformed. They are still feeding into and believing a lot of old cannabis stereotypes. And not only that, dispensaries, people are confused about them. They are scared to go into the dispensary. And also, I will say, yes, this is a problem, but at the same time, it's more so an opportunity. Great business owners, they don't look at problems as problems, but they look at them as opportunities. So with this problem, I will say, me personally, so I've had these conversations, speaking about working in cannabis, myself having my own brand that I've been working on building up. When I say I work in cannabis, it's the reaction is mixed, because like I said, like times have changed. We have come a long way in the space. However, there's still such a long way to go because, and I see it in these conversations, like in many groups, cannabis, marijuana, it is still very taboo for people to say they work in it. It's like, oh, what, you sell weed, you're a drug dealer, like you talk about drugs, who's gonna hire you in the future? Like I said, I take it as an opportunity to be a teaching moment. Like, I don't take offense to it because I know that people are still so misinformed. And I think that all cannabis operators should have that same mindset. Just because you are able to get your business up and running and you do get sales, you do get customers from people who are aware of the work you do and why it's going to meet their needs, there is still a huge demographic of people that are like, no, why is this a thing? Why is this in my neighborhood? Why are they at the neighborhood events? What is the reason for this? And then you have people on the other side of the spectrum like actually are consumers. They're like, well, I could just get it for cheaper from my guy up the block. Why would I even go into a dispensary? Why would I buy from a legal brand? In this video, I'm going to tell you guys about the huge market that's currently untapped in the cannabis industry and why you should be taking advantage of it. Let me first start off by saying this. Marketing in cannabis is hard. Aside from the financial burden when it comes to just paying for marketing, and obviously with a cannabis business you're missing out on those deductions that any other business would get for expenses such as marketing. So it is easy to kind of neglect that part of your business, but it is crucial, literally crucial, not just for when you're doing well, not for when you're doing bad, not when you're just beginning, not when you're in the middle. Wherever you are, marketing is a constant need, especially for a business in an industry that is still immature and developing. To people who have been in it for so long, it seems like, well, we've been doing this for years, we've been doing it one way, but things change every day and you have to stay on top of the changes. Everything. As a business owner, you kind of have to, as a successful business owner, you will be looking outside of yourself. It's not just, well, this is the way we did it before, this worked, now it's not working, so we're kind of just at between a rock and a hard place. It's like, no, you have to adjust and you have to look at the landscape and you have to have people around you who understand that. So what I found is that in the industry, you may find marketers who have not worked in cannabis. And we could say, as somebody who's worked in marketing, you could say that skills are definitely transferable no matter what industry you're working in. But in this specific instance, it's important to find people who understand the specific hurdles and roadblocks that come with being a cannabis operator, because it is not the same as even another regulated industry such as alcohol. It is very different. Like I said, still, while being in a developing and immature space, it's important that you are building the groundwork with people that understand where you need to be, where you are, and where you're going. One of the most crucial parts of building your marketing strategy or your marketing team, whichever it is, in cannabis is that you need to make sure that you have people around you, or make sure that you have the knowledge to know the unique needs of your customers. Cannabis is such a wide spectrum of individuals who would come and shop with you or be interested in your brand or your business, your store, whichever you are operating. There are people who are there for medical reasons. There are people who are there for therapeutic reasons. There are people that are there just because they like to get high. That's just how they unwind. That's how they get through their day, That is how they get social. So there's so many different types of people, and figuring out exactly who your audience is going to propel you in a way that if you just keep everything broad. I mentioned this in my other video speaking with an operator, and they say we're just selling weed, was just daunting to me because it's so much more than that. And I'm going to continue to say that, and I'm going to continue to stand on that because it is. You know, you are giving people an experience. This is something that some people, it makes their entire day, their entire week. Like, this is how they are living. This is how they are surviving. This is their medicine. This is their therapy. This is everything for them. So you need to definitely be aware of the unique experiences, the unique needs and wants of your customers, your potential customers. And you know, working in the cannabis space, I want to say, comes with a certain level of obligation and responsibility. You know, just because of all of those things I mentioned, you have so many people and they are counting on you to give them that experience that they are looking for when they shop with you. So that's why I say the more you know, definitely for everybody, not just people who are currently shopping or consumers. I mean, in general, not just for your business, because absolutely it's going to make you profitable if more people know what you do. They know why they should shop with you, why they should shop legal in general. These things are not only going to propel your business, but they're going to propel the industry because, as I said, there's so much misinformation out here. There's a lot of people that are kind of stuck in their own ways and ideals about what they think about the plant or consuming marijuana, etc., etc. But the more you educate people on the actual uses, why your business is doing good for your community and the cannabis community in general, the more positive changes we will see in the industry. The more positive changes we see in the industry, that again, it's a cycle. You pour into the industry, you're pouring into yourself. So that's why I say it is a duty as a cannabis business operator to make sure that you know your stuff and you are talking about it constantly. That's a good part of your content strategy. Obviously, there's different ways to do it, and there's so much more that you can add into your content strategy. Be funny, be personable, but educate people, because that is the main thing. Like, people are going to come to your page, they'll laugh, they'll see you have good products, but they still don't know a lot about these things. So that's why I say we must continue to educate people because they don't know. This is exactly where the opportunity comes in. Not the problem, the opportunity. And then comes the solution. And if you are a cannabis business operator and you are looking to become more visible, get more foot traffic, be more profitable, be a sustainable, long-lasting business with a legacy, with a name, recognizable brand, everything that you imagined when you started this business, you should be tapping into this right now. And I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. As an operator, one thing you have to remember about this space is that there are way less people that really know about marijuana than those that don't. You have people who have smoked for their whole lives. Like, I've met people who are in their 70s that have been smoking since they were 18. People that have been smoking for 10 years, 6 years, 5 years. They just started smoking. Some of those people may know more than the other people I mentioned that have been smoking for years and years and years. And that is where the opportunities come in, because, you know, I have spoken to somebody who is a old seasoned smoker, and they still think that coughing means that the weed is strong. But no, you should not cough. You know, when you smoke, you want a smooth smoke. You want it to go down easy, but you're still that feeling that, oh, if I'm coughing, like, you know, that's it. And I've even spoken to somebody who has been in the legacy or the gray market for many years, has been smoking for many years, and I talked to him about terpenes and he's lost. And I'm like, damn, people really don't know about these things. And even myself, I took the time to learn about these things when I first started making edibles and creating a brand, a lifestyle brand. I did not know about these things. I didn't know about terpenes. I didn't know about different cannabinoids. I didn't know about a lot of these things. So even though that information is out there, it's not pushed. It's not pushed as much as everything else, like high THC percentage or specific strains or, you know, cool looking mylar bags. I feel like that's really a thing right now. The design of packaging is so big right now in branding and just people's perception of the strain or whatever the product is. Just thinking about that, that is where the opportunities start to come in. Not just with those consumers though. Those are people that are kind of a bit easier. You know, you tell them things and they're just like, oh wow, that's amazing. Didn't know that. Awesome. Gonna go smoke my J now. Appreciate that information. But there are way less people that know these things than do. There are also those people that actually have never dealt with cannabis. The market that has been starting to open up is what we call the canna curious. These are people that have been hearing things about cannabis. Maybe they have friends or family members that smoke or do edibles or, you know, extractions, things like that. They consume, and they've been wondering like, hey, I've heard that this could help with my anxiety. I've heard that this could help me with my sleep. I've heard that this could help me with my chronic pain, and they want to try it. So that is where the huge opportunity comes in, because there are way more of those people than people who actually consume. So just think about it. You have a pool of people who you are currently marketing to, but there's an even huger pool. You're kind of at the tip of the iceberg with the people that you could be reaching, and your audience could pretty much quadruple in size if you start tapping into that market. And that's where the education aspect comes in, because of course all of the other ways that you market to people who are already in the space, people who already know, okay, I'm gonna go to a dispensary, I'm going to buy weed products, I kind of know what I want. Of course, I'm gonna speak to bud tenders, maybe I'll see what else is out there, but generally I know I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna buy a weed product. But there's the kind of curious who they might not even step into a dispensary. They probably walk by a dispensary every day and they're just nervous. Like they have no idea what that experience is going to be like. So that's why when you're marketing, a huge opportunity is to market to the canna curious. Tell them what it's like coming into the dispensary. Tell them what it's like to indulge in certain products. Like, what are people saying about them? Get testimonials. Talk about your business. Talk about cannabis in a way that if you never experienced it, somebody, if they tell you these things, you say, wow, I really want to try that. Wow. And I really want to go shop with those people that gave me this information because I trust them. That's what it's about, guys. Like, it's not really, it is about the products. It is about the branding, but you build a certain level of trust with the people that you're selling to, and they will continue to come back to you. Even if, let's say, one day, we're not wishing anyone has any product issues, but sometimes it happens. Like, that's just a part of business. You have a product issue, you fix it, but those people are still loyal to you. Why? Because they trust you. They trust, you know what? That happened, but these are the people that introduced me to an experience that is unmatched, and they're who I want to stick with. So that is the market that is going to blow up over time, because even now you can see from 10 years ago, look at how many more people are now smoking. Or somebody, like, I'd speak to a family member, you know, I've been indulging, consuming for a while, and I go to a family gathering, I bring some edibles, I already know who's going to be interested. But then out of the woodwork, another family member goes, hey, I want to try that. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you serious? I never thought that you, but that's the thing. Like, you never know who is out there and who is curious. You never know who can be your next customer. And that is why this is a strategy that will continue to propel businesses that take advantage of it to the top. Because once things start to open up more, you know, we are still in a phase where things are changing every day. We are hoping for more, but things will continue to change as time goes on. So if you start this now, you know, the more information there is, the more open the industry is, the more visible the space is, the more opportunities there are for you to capitalize on that specific area. So when it comes to your actual marketing strategy, how can you tap into these audiences? One of the best ways to do this is through events and strategic partnerships. Meet the people where they are, because most businesses online is booming. That's where everybody is. You could find any kind of audience, or pretty much you could target your audience online. But with the cannabis business, it's harder to do online digital advertising, marketing, kind of everything that you'd want to do that another business can do. It causes issues just because you are a cannabis business operator. So when I say events and strategic partnerships, you can do these with businesses that are not exactly in cannabis but adjacent. Let's say this is a health or a wellness brand, then you could come in and you are able to partner with them, you do events with them, you're able to meet people who may be interested in cannabis. There are many different opportunities, and do something that's cannabis adjacent that has an audience that may resonate with what you do or what marijuana can help with. And I know in this space, money can be tight, but I talk a lot about the free work, going to events that will promote advocacy for the space. There are so many different avenues that you could take with this when it comes to your strategic partnerships and your events. And you don't have to spend a lot. And yes, maybe you cannot sell at these events, but it's not all about sales. That's why I say the free work is not really free. You're not going and doing these things for free. You can't think of it like that, because that's not how you get into a growth mindset. That's everything that you do for your business is not always going to produce actual monetary compensation, but it will produce value that is not monetary. People disregard it or look at it as secondary or not necessary. We need to focus on sales, but actually you need to focus on long-term growth. And the knowledge that you get, the network that you get, the opportunities that come out of those things, that's how you get more growth in the long run. So you can't look at it as, oh, we're just going to this event and we didn't make any sales. Maybe you didn't make any sales, but maybe you were able to give some people some knowledge that they were looking for. And look at that. A couple weeks later, now you have 10 new customers. So you have to look at the bigger picture when it comes to your marketing strategy. Like, it is not all about money now. It is about the longevity of the business. It is about continued profit, continued revenue. That is a great way to go about your marketing strategy when it comes to tapping into those audiences outside of people that are already consuming, people that already are interested in your business. This is how you get people interested. That is how you really scale and grow. And this is something that most business owners don't realize, because obviously you're thinking about day to day, you're thinking about sales, you're thinking, look, the money is not where we need it to be, and we need it to happen faster. That is completely understandable, but that's why you need people on your team like me in your corner who understands this space, who understands your audience. And while you do day to day, you handle all of those things, we will be on the back end making sure that you are not missing out on opportunities and not leaving any money on the table, because we can't afford to do that. We cannot afford to miss out on anything. And it's not only about the money in this space. Like I said, you do have some type of duty and obligation to make sure that you are advocating for everyone in it, yourself, your customers, everybody. We talk a lot about online presence. We talk a lot about digital, but in-store is equally important, especially if you are a dispensary operator. The opportunities are endless there as well. And for your in-store experience, one of the most important things is that your bud tenders are the heart and soul of that store. They should be educated, they should be warm, they should be able to tell people all of the things that they need to know. Also, do not be shy about having educational resources actually up in your dispensary. Have brochures, have signage, have everything. The point is to make your customers come into the dispensary and they are feeling confident and they are feeling empowered to buy. You don't want them to just come in, browse, and leave because they're nervous or they don't understand what's going on at the kiosk. Make it a experience for people where they feel like, I feel important and seen when I come in here and I want to come back again and again and again. Of course, I want to say that on the education side, as we all know, cannabis businesses in general are underfunded. And a big part of that is because people still see cannabis businesses as high risk. And we are still in an immature phase as long as it has been. So it is an opportunity to change the narrative and the broader idea, not just for your business, but for everyone. And this is how we can get more investors involved. People are interested, but everything is still up in the air. Obviously, a lot of that is out of your control as an operator or as a business owner or someone looking to start a business in the space. But there are things that you can do in the meantime. So making sure that you are prioritizing that is going to continue to push the space forward and in turn push your business to the top. Three things that you should be leveraging in your marketing are community, storytelling, and authenticity. Authenticity is the key because if you look and sound just like everybody else, what's the point? What is the reason to buy from you? What is the reason to trust you? What is the reason to come and keep coming back? There won't be one. So authenticity, community, and storytelling. This is the entourage effect of your brand. Make sure that these are at the core of everything that you are doing marketing wise. And we are still so early in the game, which means that the window for opportunity is wide open. And this is the time to make sure that your business ends up on top and isn't left behind. So use this phase to educate, connect, and position your brand as a trusted guide for this new wave of consumers. If you're a cannabis business owner, this is your sign to stop waiting and start educating. If you're ready to start building a profitable business that is a pillar in this industry, follow me on Instagram, hit me in the DMs, or comment below and I'll send you the link and we can book a strategy call. See you guys in the next video.